US President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump have hit out at one another in a contentious televised CNN presidential debate, the first of the 2024 election, here in this battleground state of Georgia. The two rivals accused one another of lying on issues including immigration, abortion and foreign policy. Donald Trump repeatedly attacked Joe Biden on the economy and on his foreign policy record, while Joe Biden took aim at his rival's criminal conviction and alleged attempts to overturn the 2020 election. Well, let's do a quick recap of all we've been watching tonight. I'm joined now by our senior North America correspondent, Gary O'Donoghue. Gary, we were talking earlier about how high the stakes were tonight and what a moment this was going to be in the campaign. It kind of delivered, didn't it?
It did. I'm not sure that for the committed this will have changed very much, but of course they're not really talking to the committed, are they? They're talking to the small number of undecided voters in those key swing states, 6 or 7 key swing states who will decide the November election. And of course what we saw is some fairly well-worn attacks, some fairly well-worn insults. I think what we learned tonight is, we already knew that they don't like one another, but there wasn't very much about the future, was there? This was a sort of an analysis, if you like, a dissection of the past presidency of Joe Biden up till now and Donald Trump's first term in office as well. So I'm not sure the public will have learned very much about what these two men plan to do in the future.
When we look at the performance of each candidate, let's look at Joe Biden first of all. I mean, we heard from our panellist Stephanie Murphy earlier about, how disappointed, let's say to put it mildly, Democrats are at what they saw there.
Yeah, I mean, look, he was obviously battling with some sort of cold, we understand. He sounded pretty hoarse. And of course, there was that kind of really big moment for the Democrats where he lost his train of thought when he was trying to talk about the national debt, sort of trailed off, and then when he came back, he didn't make much sense, to be honest. And that's something that Donald Trump tried to sort of capitalize on, didn't really go for in a way you might have expected Donald Trump to in the past. But it was a reasonably, I mean, there were moments, weren't there? There were flashes that the Democrats will have taken some comfort from. I mean, standout lines like, you've got the morals of an alley cat, which is something I think that will be repeated and transmitted on social media, but not really a kind of a consummate performance. And he did sound his age, and he did sound a bit unsure, and it was at times, I have to say, quite difficult to understand what he was saying.
And if Joe Biden was invoking alley cats, Donald Trump at one point said America was like living in a rat's nest. What did you think of his performance?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we heard anything new from Donald Trump. He reined himself in a way that perhaps I think his supporters and his backers and his team would have wanted him to. He didn't really start airing an awful lot of grievances. There was a bit of, the Russia hoax. There was a bit of being persecuted, but not as much as you might have got. And then we had this most bizarre moment, didn't we, at the end when they were talking about their ages. They were asked about their respective ages. Joe Biden, 81, Donald Trump, 78. They ended up in an argument about golf handicaps, of all things. And you think, is this a presidential debate we're watching here, or is this two old guys in a pub arguing about golf?
Who knows indeed. As always, Gary, thanks so much for joining us with your thoughts on what we've been watching there for the last while on this CNN presidential debate.